Diving into the shadows of the Marvel Universe, we're about to unravel the origin story of one of its most iconic and downright terrifying figures, Venom. From a simple costume change to a full-blown anti-hero, Venom's journey is one of the most fascinating tales in comic book history. So, grab your snacks and get comfy. Let's explore how this lethal protector came to be. To really get Venom, we need to rewind to the 1980s. This was a game-changing time for comic books. The straightforward black and white morality of the Silver Age was fading away, making room for a grittier, more complex vibe. Readers were craving characters who danced on the line between good and evil, who weren't afraid to get their hands dirty. Enter the age of the anti-hero, with characters like the Punisher and Wolverine capturing the hearts of a new generation. They were brutal, morally ambiguous, and super popular. And it was in this landscape that the idea for Venom was born. But it didn't start with a fanged monster. It all began with a fan. In 1982, Marvel Comics held a contest for aspiring writers and artists. A fan named Randy Schueller pitched a wild idea. What if Spider-Man got a sleek, all-black costume? But this wasn't just a fashion upgrade. Schueller imagined the suit made of unstable molecules, crafted by Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, enhancing Spider-Man's powers. Marvel's editor-in-chief, Jim Shooter, loved it. He bought the concept from Schueller for a modest fee, planting the seed for the symbiote. The idea of a living, power-boosting costume was just too good to ignore. This concept found its place in the massive 1984 crossover event, Secret Wars. In this storyline, a cosmic entity called the Beyonder transports a bunch of Marvel's greatest heroes and villains to a patchwork planet called Battleworld, forcing them to fight it out. During the chaos, Spider-Man's classic red and blue suit gets shredded. Remembering Thor and Hulk's comments about a machine that could fix their costumes, Peter Parker goes looking for it. But he accidentally stumbles upon a different machine containing a mysterious black sphere. The sphere engulfs him, forming a slick, new black costume. At first, Peter is over the moon. This new suit is incredible. It can mimic any clothing he imagines, produces its own organic webbing, and seems to respond to his thoughts, boosting his already amazing abilities. He feels stronger, faster, and more agile than ever. It's like the ultimate upgrade. But back on Earth, things start to get weird. Peter begins feeling unusually aggressive and drained, even after a full night's sleep. Nightmares plague him, and he feels a growing rage he can't shake. What started as a gift is turning into a curse. Worried about these changes, Spider-Man reaches out to Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. After some tests, Reed makes a shocking discovery. The suit isn't just a suit. It's a living, parasitic organism, a symbiote. It's been trying to bond with Peter, both physically and mentally. The reason Peter felt so tired? The symbiote was taking his body out for late-night joyrides while he slept, continuing its own brand of crime fighting. Realizing the danger, Reed uses a sonic blaster to forcibly separate the symbiote from Peter. The alien creature, vulnerable to high-frequency sound, writhes in agony before being contained. Peter, shaken but free, goes back to his classic red and blues. But the symbiote, feeling rejected and betrayed, doesn't forget. It absorbed all of Peter's powers and, more importantly, developed a burning hatred for the man who cast it aside. Now, let's meet the other half of this deadly duo, Eddie Brock. Eddie was a successful journalist for the Daily Globe, on the brink of breaking the biggest story of his career. He had an exclusive interview with a guy claiming to be the notorious serial killer, the Sin Eater. Eddie's articles were a sensation, rocketing him to journalistic fame. But there was just one catch. His source was a compulsive liar. The real Sin Eater got caught by Spider-Man, exposing Eddie's story as a total fabrication. His career crashed down in an instant. He was fired, his reputation shattered, and he became a laughingstock. Eddie Brock lost everything, and he blamed one person for his downfall, Spider-Man. Consumed by failure and rage, Eddie spiraled out of control. His hatred for Spider-Man morphed into an obsession, poisoning every thought. Seeking solace, he went to a church to pray, contemplating ending it all. As fate would have it, this was the same church where Spider-Man had last shed the alien symbiote, using the deafening sound of the church bells to drive it off. The symbiote, weakened and hiding in the rafters, sensed Eddie's overwhelming emotions. It felt his despair, his rage, and most importantly, his all-consuming hatred for Peter Parker. It was a perfect match. The symbiote descended from the shadows and bonded with Eddie Brock. In that moment, two broken beings, united by a shared obsession, became one. They were no longer just a rejected alien and a disgraced reporter. They were something new, something terrifying. They were Venom. The first full appearance of this new creation in The Amazing Spider-Man #300 in May 1988 was a landmark moment. Venom was unlike any villain Spider-Man had ever faced. Since the symbiote had been bonded with Peter first, it knew all of his secrets, his fighting style, his weaknesses, and most chillingly, his secret identity. To make things worse, the symbiote's connection to Peter meant it didn't trigger his spider sense, leaving him completely vulnerable to Venom's surprise attacks. Talk about psychological terror. Imagine a monster that looks like a twisted, more muscular version of you, knows everything about you, and is completely invisible to your one danger-detecting ability. It's nightmare fuel. Venom's design was instantly iconic. Artist Todd McFarlane gave him a hulking, monstrous physique, a terrifying jaw filled with razor-sharp teeth, and a long, prehensile tongue. This was a far cry from the sleek, simple costume Peter wore. This was the symbiote's true form, unleashed and amplified by Eddie's rage. Venom's famous line, "We are Venom," perfectly captures their twisted relationship. It's not, "I am Venom," but "we." This highlights the dual nature of the character. A man and an alien fused into a single entity, driven by a singular, hateful purpose. This new character was a smash hit. Venom perfectly embodied the anti-hero spirit of the 80s. He wasn't your typical villain looking to conquer the world or grab riches. His goal was personal, born from pain and a warped sense of justice. In his mind, Venom wasn't the bad guy. Spider-Man was. This complex motivation struck a chord with readers. Venom operated under a bizarre moral code, seeing himself as a lethal protector, punishing criminals with brutal finality while saving his ultimate vengeance for Spider-Man. This dynamic flipped the traditional hero-villain narrative on its head. Was Venom truly evil, or just a tragic figure pushed to the brink? The popularity of Venom was so massive that it forever changed the Marvel landscape. He quickly evolved from a straight-up villain into a complex anti-hero, even landing his own successful comic book series. His story set a new standard, proving that characters who operate in the moral gray area could be just as compelling, if not more so, than traditional heroes. Venom's success paved the way for a whole slew of other symbiote characters, like the even crazier Carnage, and opened up a whole new corner of cosmic lore within the Marvel Universe. So, from a fan's simple idea for a new costume, the Venom symbiote was born. It found a host in a broken man, and together, they created a character that has terrified and fascinated audiences for decades. Venom's legacy shows the power of a great concept and the allure of a complex, tragic, and utterly fearsome character. He's the ultimate reflection of what happens when power meets pain, turning a hero's discarded costume into his worst nightmare. What are your favorite Venom moments from the comics or movies? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. Thanks for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this deep dive into comic book history, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video. Until next time, stay super.